You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 21. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome to the show. If you are a brand new listener, welcome to the Balanced Educator Podcast. We're so excited to have you here. And if you come back every Monday to listen to the show, welcome back. We love connecting with you every week on Monday mornings to get your week started off from a positive and intentional note to help you feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life, be that career life, family life, or personal life. Now, Josiane and I are educators to our core, so we hope to teach you something every week, and we absolutely love knowing what you guys are learning. So here's your exit ticket for today. We would love for you to take a screenshot of this episode, of you listening to this episode in whatever app you use, and to share it on Instagram. Tag us at EduCalm, EduCalme, so that we can see that you're listening and we can connect with you, we can chat with you, and then let us know what you're learning. So tag us and say what you learned from this episode or what you're learning from the show in general. We would love to know what your takeaways are. So this week, I, Kaylee, am interviewing someone that I have been so excited to have on the show to share with you because he is a big mentor of mine, and he's also my coach. So today on the show, we have Keith Macpherson. Keith is a mindfulness trainer, life coach, and author of the new book, Making Sense of Mindfulness. Through his work in the field of mindfulness, Keith has created a 5-principle framework to assist the masses in comprehending the buzzword mindfulness and integrate this practice into their daily lives. Aside from his work in mindfulness, Keith is also known as a professional musician, most notably being a top finalist on the hit television series Canadian Idol. As a professional speaker, presenter, and musician, Keith has spent over 20 years touring globally in countries including Canada, the United States, Mexico, Africa, Dubai, and the United Kingdom. He's currently a regular columnist in the Balanced magazine and inspires thousands of people around the world with his daily intentions on social media. So without further ado, you guys, I think you're going to love this conversation. Let's go to the show. Keith Macpherson, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
So, I am so excited to have you here because a lot of our listeners are educators, and if they're from Manitoba, they've probably already heard your name because you are an inspiring speaker. Can you tell our guests a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your life is like, and who you are?
Sure. Well, first, I just have to say I am honored to be on this podcast. The work you guys are doing in the community is incredible, and I'm a big fan. I follow your blog, your podcast. I'm a little starstruck myself sitting across from you right now. And I also do a lot of work around mindfulness in the world. I'm a mindfulness coach and speaker, as you said. I also am a musician as well. And I travel around and help people discover their life purpose and how to connect to the present moment. So it's pretty fun.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
So often you give talks to teachers and also in the business world and stuff too. And what I love about your message is it's kind of similar into what we're trying to do is make mindfulness something that isn't just a seated meditation practice, but it's a way of living. It's something that you're bringing into your daily life so that you can enjoy life more.
Right. I often talk about mindfulness as there's a lot of misconception that this is another add-on to the to-do list. You know, people think things like, oh man, I've got to get my mindfulness practice in and check mark, it's done. But this has actually, to me, become more of a way of being in the world. It's like a way of embodying how am I showing up and how am I being while I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing, right?
Yes.
It's very challenging because in a sense it's the intention underneath the surface of how am I showing up while I'm in this conversation, or while I'm brushing my teeth, or while I'm eating my food, or if you're an educator, while I'm marking report cards,
Yes.
which we all know can be quite challenging and we all procrastinate and want to go somewhere else. But to come back to the present moment and to really be aware of how am I showing up to this particular moment. And that to me is really what mindfulness practice is more about. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know, what does your personal mindfulness practice kind of look like?
Wow. Well, it's a constant reminder to come back to the now.
Yeah.
So I have a formal practice that I do. And I have to preface, it's not a to-do list thing. It's my number one thing every day. And so when I wake up in the morning, I have a glass of water, and then I literally have a space in my house that I go, and I carve out up to 2 hours a day to do this practice where, because this is my main thing, I sit, I do a meditation, I do some yoga. I always channel and journal, a page a day from whatever comes out of the meditation. And then I do some prayers, and I practice breathing, and I just connect. So that's the formal version of it. The informal version is I catch myself all day long when I start wandering out of the present moment. I start paying attention to how's my body feeling right now? What's going on in the now? And there's a bunch of little mini practices that I have kind of weaved into the day that just help me always come back to the now.
Yeah.
A lot of my studying of mindfulness has stemmed from ancient Hawaii and some of their practices, which I think are amazing. And the Hawaiians have a word, manawa, which means now is the moment of power. And it really is. This present moment that we're in right now, this moment is where all of the real power is. And so often our mind wanders and tries to go, oh, I need to get this done, or I should have done that. And we think our power is not in this moment, but it actually is here right now. So it's all these little practices throughout the day for me that remind me to come back to what's here now. Yeah. Who's here now? You know, these kind of questions.
I love that. I find that I recognize when I'm out of the moment, when I start to feel discomfort in my body, and almost like some anxiety or anxiousness coming in. And that's 90% of the time because I'm thinking of my to-do list and what I have to do later. And now that you just talked about the power is in this moment, made me realize that I think some of that anxious feeling is feeling disempowered because I can't actually affect that thing I need to do tomorrow right now while I'm driving my car. That's all right. I can do right now is be in the now. I can drive my car right now. That's where the power is.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that makes so much sense. That awkward feeling of, this to-do list that takes over your life and you feel that anxiety. So coming back to the now, this is where the power is. I love that.
As you're talking, I correlate this a lot to the relationship, the direct relationship between our mind and our body. And I always say, like, our mind and our body are like in a partnership. They're like a marriage. And a lot of times I find that the mind, and especially in our culture of the constant doing and the constant, we've got to get more, be more, accomplish more. We've been programmed and conditioned, our mind has, to think that that's the norm. So our mind, in the relationship between the mind and body, tends to be the overtalker. It's that partner that always talks. And we have this other partner, our body, which hosts our intuition, our feelings, our memory, our wisdom, so to speak. And very rarely does our body get the chance to speak back or to give us the wisdom because the mind is always talking. So to me, part of this too is really bringing those two partners into relationship, having our mind learn how to listen in the moment to what is the intuitive part of me saying. And that intuition, that inner teacher, that inner place, it's learning to trust those gut instincts when they come up and hear them, like have the mind hear them, because the mind is so good at making things happen. It's all about the doing. But if we're doing without direction from our intuition, and we actually fall off alignment. So it's really about aligning those two partners. The mind listens, hears the intuition and goes, I get it. And then takes action.
Yeah.
And there's balance when that starts happening. So,
I love that. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, the wake-up call has to come from when our body has been trying to talk to us for so long. We haven't been listening, so it starts screaming at us, and all of a sudden we're in dis-ease. So maybe it's, chronic back pain or, an actual disease that manifests in your body. It's been trying to tell you something. And the mindfulness practice for me has a lot to do with just checking in with my body and what is it telling me, and checking in with my intuition, that voice, that still voice that's always kind and loving and wise, that always seems to have the right answer. But it really takes practice in listening to that voice and recognizing it. And for me, that was, years long of practicing listening to my body. And now it's pretty good. I can be like, my stomach's telling me something right now, more than just I want a donut. But
right. I suppose the over talking mind, I want a donut.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always joke, I know a lot of educators listen to your podcast, and it's amazing. I mean, teachers have the strongest bladders in the world. They don't use the bathroom for like 8 hours a day. They're like, their mind has convinced them, I just don't have time, or I can't go to the bathroom because I've got to look after these students, and no one can sub for me for these 5 minutes. So we, even at that level, neglect going to the bathroom when our bladder is going, please listen.
I'm laughing so hard because when Josiane and I started working from home, doing EduCalm, one of the first things we said was, wow, the fact that I can go to the bathroom whenever I want is like the most amazing thing. I can drink as much water and tea during the day as I want because I can go to the bathroom whenever I need to. I don't need to wait for the recess or wait for lunch.
Right. We've got to come up with a better system for that. I bet if our mind learned how to listen intuitively and just ask the question, how can teachers more accessibly use the bathroom? There's got to be an answer to that.
There's got to be an answer.
And just learning how to honor our body is what I'm getting at. Learning how to honor when our stomach's grumbling and we're hungry. And instead of working through it because our mind says you need to be busier and work and you don't have time to eat, it's like, will you honor your partner? This intuition saying, grumbling stomach, I'm hungry, right? Or it goes on and on. I mean, it's just learning how to listen to that part of us that's present.
That's awesome. When we do mindfulness workshops in schools, and we're working with kids, afterwards we often do a sharing circle just to ask, how did that feel for you? How was that practice for you? And it's a really good way to connect and see that we all have similar and different experiences. Some people might love it. Some people say, it wasn't for me. I didn't really like it. It was hard to sit still, or I feel really calm. But the top answer we get from kids is, I feel tired or I feel hungry. And then we have a conversation about just that. Well, we're slowing down now. We're actually taking the time to listen to our body. So if your body's telling you that you're really tired right now and it's 10 a.m., what do you think that means? And they're pretty smart. They say, I should go to bed earlier tonight, or maybe I shouldn't have been playing video games until, midnight last night.
Right.
Or, I didn't eat breakfast this morning and I'm hungry. I should probably eat breakfast tomorrow. So it's that learning, going back to listening to our body and just taking that time to slow down.
Absolutely. Our body holds all the wisdom.
Yeah. It does. It does. We think of our brain and our body as two separate things, but they aren't. They're attached in very tangible ways and constantly in communication. So if we can use our whole body to learn and to grow and to expand and to make decisions, then it's like we're tripling at least our capacity for doing great things in the world, right? When we're listening to our entire body and mind.
That's right. That's one of the things I'm so inspired by too, even working in business these days, is that a lot of businesses are realizing that, a lot of their stuck points happen when they're too concentrated in the conscious mind, the overthinking stimulated mind. And so just recently I was coaching with a company that created this idea of let's do our business meetings while walking, and they leave the office and they go out and they walk, and just getting into the physical movement of the body opens up creativity, opens up innovation. It allows us to literally get new ideas. So, whether you're a teacher or a business person, if you're stuck, if you're feeling like that creative block, it's most likely because you're overthinking, overanalyzing. One of my heroes, Wayne Dyer, used to say, analyze is anal retentive, It's like to actually free up the mind and to have it listen. is to get into the body, move, you know, move the body, breathe, get out of the overthinking. And that's when really we get all our creativity comes from there.
That is so true. I remember in the classroom when it was just, I could feel the energy in the class was, you know, it was just tense. It was tough. Everyone was having a hard time concentrating or just that kind of yuck energy. I'd be like, okay, let's just go take 3 laps around the school outside. We'd just walk, then we'd come back, sit down. And all of a sudden this new creative energy had, you know, built up in everyone and it just flowed so much better.
I love that you're able to do that because so often too, when I'm working with teachers, I find that and naturally as teachers, we are programmed to believe that we've got to somehow follow this curriculum and this set of guidelines. And we don't trust our intuition that's saying, let's get the kids to go run 3 laps because no, we don't have time for that. Yeah. Right? That's our own mind. So it's like really trusting the present moment to guide how we're going to teach. I call it intuitive education. It's like teaching from a place of intuition as opposed to in that safe little box of check marks and that, I mean, things flow from that place.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
I think there's a lot of fear too in education, worry that if I follow my intuition and I'm not going by the guidelines, you know, I might upset my superiors. I might, you know, cause a ruckus. I might upset some parents. I know the first question I get asked a lot when I say that I taught meditation in my classroom, people say, well, what did the parents think of that? Like there must have been a lot of backlash. And I said, you know, I actually expected that, but I got the complete opposite. So what happened was I sent out an email to all the parents, letting them know we're going to be doing a daily mindfulness practice in the classroom. We're going to be doing yoga 2 days a week. I got met with so much excitement. I had so many parents come up to me in person to thank me, to say, my child is teaching me to meditate now, and my child's so much happier. They love coming to school. I got so much positive reinforcement coming back from parents, and they were so excited that we were doing this kind of forward thinking thing. And I think in our day and age, most parents, most people recognize that we're moving into kind of an era where the overthinker is so present. The hustle mentality is so there that we are into a space now where we need to learn to slow down. And most parents are so happy that that starts getting taught in the classroom.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such great feedback.
Yeah. I think I also went into it with the energy of being excited about it and just I expected parents to be happy about it, and that's what I got. So maybe I manifested what my expectations were.
I love it. Well, I find your energy so positive and infectious. I mean, how could somebody not be like, yes?
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Well, you know, I cultivate it. I practice feeling joy. I practice in my mindfulness practice, I practice creating the emotions that I want to feel. And we have a podcast episode on that, episode number 9, how your thoughts create your emotions. And, you know, I recognize that the body and the mind work together. So I practice feeling good emotions, and I think that shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, great conversation. But what I really wanted to share with our audience, more than just your awesomeness, is your book that is going to be coming out soon.
Yes.
I pre-ordered it because I was so excited to read it.
Thank you.
I've read it already.
Oh,
and
great.
I loved it. And I'm so excited for you to talk a little bit about it so that our audience can hear about it. Because what I love about the book is that it's very actionable and it's broken down into bite-sized pieces that make it really easy. Because I think that a lot of people coming into this decision that they want to start living more mindfully, it feels like this giant monster and they don't know where to start. So I love how you broke it down into your 5 principles.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the book's called Making Sense of Mindfulness. And it really wrote itself, I should say, to start. In the morning practice that I described earlier here on the podcast, I channel every day. I listen and then I channel writing. And so one morning I literally started writing and got this intuition that, oh, this is going to now be a book. And at first I have to tell you the resistance was huge. Yeah, what do you know? You don't know how to write a book. What are you doing, right? And it was this constant coming back and just channeling every day. So this book wrote itself over a span of about 4 to 5 years. It was handwritten at first. And it's funny, I just got the book or pre-ordered a bunch of copies of the book, and I was reading it, and it really doesn't even feel like me. Like I feel like this book was written by something greater than myself. It's just really something that's connecting us all together, that creative energy. And what really, like as you were saying, stemmed out of this book was 5 principles of how to integrate mindfulness practice into our everyday life. And so I don't know how much time you want to spend on this. I could speak about this for a week. There's so much to share. But I guess I could give you a rundown of these principles.
Let's do a rundown, and then I'll ask you some questions if they arise.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, okay, so before the 5 principles, one thing that's important to know is the foundation of mindfulness, which is really all things are connected, and it's realizing that everything is interconnected. For me, that stemmed out of a number of experiences all the way back from when I was in grade 7 and I was failing French class. I think teachers will appreciate this. And I made a deal with my teacher to get my grade up. So I literally did an extra project in French. It ended up being a song that I recorded on a cassette tape, which makes me a 70s child. I handed in the cassette tape and got an A+ on the assignment and got asked to sing in front of my whole school. And just to kind of shorten this story for our podcast, I got up in front of the whole school, and long story short, at the end of the performance, the whole school was singing along with me. And I remember looking out and seeing this and thinking, this is so powerful. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So for me, this realization that all things are connected really started when I started playing music and realizing that when a good song comes on, it really doesn't matter where you come from or who you are or what your status is. It's like we just connect. We all sing together. There's all these things that we get caught up in the surface go away, and we realize there's something greater at play underneath the surface. So really knowing that all things are connected is how this all happens. There's a phrase in Hawaii, ika pono mea, which means everything is happening perfectly on time.
Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and it really is trusting that place that, life loves us. And when we realize that the present moment, everything's connected, everything that we need is here for us. We just have to tune in and realize that.
That is so true. We just tend to often not notice that everything is here for us, supporting us, because we aren't always in the moment. This has been an amazing conversation, Keith, and I think our listeners are going to get so much value from some of the insights that you've shared and the conversation we've had. I'm so excited to jump into specifically the 5 principles that you share in your book, Making Sense of Mindfulness. But we are out of time for today, so this is going to be our next week's episode. We'll dive into the details of your 5 principles. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and I'm so excited for next week. Listeners, I can't wait to see you again. I know you're going to want to hear everything that Keith has to share from his book. If you are new to the show, thank you so much for being here. We are so happy to have you here on the Balanced Educator Podcast, joining our community, being here to chat with us. I invite you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the show. Every Monday, we put out a new episode, and we would love to connect with you every week. And if you would like to get in touch with Keith, you can check out his website. It's www.keithmacpherson.ca. That's spelled KeithMacpherson.ca. He's got an inspirational video right at the front of his page. You can pre-order his book. You can check out his awesome offerings. So go ahead, check it out. Now, I want to share a little bit of some behind the scenes things that we're working on right now at Educom. Josiane and I are adding new content to Educom Classroom, our online school where you can just press play and have us teach guided mindfulness practices to you and your students. We are also working on a free online workshop where we will be sharing our biggest tips for reducing overwhelm and finding more balance in your life. My background is in science, so I always love to infuse some knowledge about how the brain and body are working biologically. I think that gives us a lot of insight and some concrete reasons as to why this mindfulness practice can really be beneficial to us and what it's actually doing into our body. It sometimes helps us to really get on board with this practice if we've been on the fence, or if we've, been making it that, I should do that. Kind of helps us to recognize how important it really is. So excited to share that with you. We will be giving you guys more details soon. We'll share those details over on our Instagram account. You can find us at EduCalm. That's EduCalme. Or better yet, get on our mailing list so that you can get our weekly Happy Mindset Monday emails giving you tips and ideas and some challenges for infusing your life with mindfulness. You can sign up at www.educalm.com/subscribe. And in addition to that, we are working on a summer course for educators. So excited to share more details about that. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and we will see you back again next Monday, where we will continue our conversation with Keith, and he's going to share his 5 principles from his book, Making Sense of Mindfulness. Have a great week.